Okay, so LeBron James, it's May 1st, 2025. He's 40 years old, possibly looking at season number 22. And the question everyone's asking is, does he hang him up? Or does the king keep reigning? Let's dive into that.
It really is a fascinating point in his career, especially when you think about the legacy he's already cemented. I mean, 4 championships, 4 MVPs, 4 Finals MVPs.
And 21 All-Star games. That number is just wild.
Exactly. He's undoubtedly one of the absolute greats ever.
For sure. And this decision isn't happening in a vacuum, right? The Lakers season just finished, and it wasn't exactly smooth sailing.
Not at all. So you have to weigh his performance, which is still amazing, against those nagging injuries.
And the team stuff, the chemistry, especially after bringing in Luca, plus the whole situation with his son, Bronny. And, people always talk about the stats, the legacy chasing.
Right. There are so many pieces moving here. So what we want to do in this deep dive is get beyond just the highlight reel. We need to analyze his whole career arc, look at the arguments for retiring versus staying, tackle that whole Bronny dynamic head on.
And really try to figure out what's actually motivating him right now.
Exactly. What's driving the decision?
Okay, let's maybe rewind a bit first. The Chosen One feels like forever ago, but straight out of high school, #1 pick, Cleveland, 2003. That's where it all started.
And the pressure on him then was just immense. Think about it. But he didn't just meet expectations. He blew them away consistently. Those 4 titles, Miami, Cleveland, LA.
Finals MVP every single time. That's the key, right? He wasn't just along for the ride.
Not at all. He was the difference maker, adapting his game to fit totally different teams. That's huge.
And those regular season MVPs, 09, 10, 12, 13, just pure dominance in that stretch.
But maybe the biggest testament to his longevity is that all-time scoring record, passing Kareem in 23.
And then hitting 50,000 total points this year against the Pelicans, right? Had a big game doing it too, 34, 8, and 6. Nobody's ever done that.
It's just remarkable consistency across different basketball eras, and it's not just NBA stuff. 3 Olympic golds, MVP in the 2024 games. His global impact is undeniable.
Plus, everything off the court. The I Promise School, speaking out on social issues. He's bigger than basketball in many ways.
Absolutely, and that's what's so wild. Even now, potentially year 22, his stats, 24 points, almost 8 boards, over 8 assists.
Yeah, 24.4, 7.8 rebounds, 8.2 assists, pretty much his career averages, which is insane.
They can still run the offense, score, defend multiple positions. We still see those clutch moments, like those shots back in 2018.
But okay, here's the flip side. How long can anyone keep that up? We're talking, what, almost 1,500 regular season games?
Right.
Plus nearly 300 playoff games.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The wear and tear. It has to catch up eventually. Can even LeBron beat Father Time forever?
It feels like that's the core debate. Because his 2024-25 season, despite the mileage, was still elite. Hitting 50K points proves that. You still have guys like Stephen A. Smith making the due case for him, pointing to how he keeps adapting.
True. But you also have to look at the signs of maybe slowing down physically. He only played 55 games last season with that foot thing.
And the groin injury this season sidelined him after that tough loss to the Celtics in March.
Yeah, that Celtics game was telling. His shooting wasn't great, and you saw him struggle a bit against, the youth and athleticism of Tatum.
And remember that Phoenix game early on? Only 11 points, shot really poorly. That's when Kendrick Perkins said he looked 40.
Which, isn't necessarily an insult at this stage, but it reflects that observation.
But LeBron's smart about it. He talks about using his basketball IQ more as maybe the peak athleticism, dips a tiny
Yes,
bit.
exactly. He's mentioned bringing up other facets of his game, and his dedication to recovery, diet, all that stuff is legendary. That's a huge reason he's lasted this long.
No doubt. The investment in his body is massive. But then the Lakers flame out in the first round against Minnesota, even with Luka Doncic.
Right, and that highlights that maybe even LeBron's continued brilliance isn't always enough if the team structure isn't quite right.
Which kind of leads us right into the injury discussion more deeply. Because it used to be about how durable he was. Now it's about the games missed.
Yeah, the narrative has shifted in the last 5 seasons or so. Significant time missed has become, unfortunately, pretty common for him.
Yeah, the groin strain back in 18-19 kept him out a lot. That foot injury last year was serious.
And then this year's groin problem, which, stirred up controversy when he was seen at his son Bryce's game while supposedly injured.
Yeah, formerly Twitter, definitely had opinions on that. Lots of skepticism about how bad the injury really was.
And when you zoom out, you see the sheer volume of minutes. Over 57,000 regular season minutes now. Past Kareem there, too. That's just an incredible amount of basketball.
You see it sometimes, right? Maybe a little less burst to the rim, maybe struggling a bit more defensively against quick guys like Anthony Edwards on the Timberwolves.
Perkins' comment about him being maybe 70–75% healthy kind of captures that reality. The accumulation is real.
But LeBron says he listens to his body, prioritizes sleep, food, keeping his mind sharp. You still see the genius level reads, putting teammates in the right spots.
Absolutely. The mental edge is still elite, but you need both the mind and the body for the playoff grind.
Okay, so let's talk team dynamics, because that's been a constant state of flux since he got to LA in 2018. AD, then Russ, now Luka Doncic.
That Doncic trade was massive. Huge talent injection, but it obviously requires major adjustments from everyone involved.
They had a decent record after the trade, what, 40-21 around March?
Something like that, yeah. Looked promising, but then getting bounced 4-1 by Minnesota, that screams chemistry issues, or maybe strategic ones. They didn't quite figure out how to optimize LeBron and Luka together, especially under pressure.
And you saw LeBron shift his role again, right? More facilitating, setting up Luka and AD. His assist numbers were way up.
Yeah, 2.5 assists a game. He's adapting. But the team clearly had weaknesses, like rim protection. Gobert really exposed that in the Minnesota series.
And LeBron's little no comment when asked about roster needs kind of felt like a subtle message, didn't it? Echoing AD's past trade demands.
It hinted at some frustration, maybe. And Coach J.J. Redick, it's still his system they're learning. LeBron even said after one loss, we're still getting to know each other. That's telling late in the season.
So how does this constant need to adapt, this team instability, play into the retirement thoughts? It's got to be tiring at 40, right?
For sure. The Lakers basically need him to be elite for any title hopes. Critics might see that burden, plus the team's flaws, and think maybe it's time. Supporters see his leadership as essential because of those challenges.
Okay, let's shift to, well, a really sensitive topic, Bronny James. His son joining the Lakers has definitely added a whole new dimension to all this.
Oh, absolutely. Bronny's become a lightning rod, hasn't he? It puts LeBron's legacy, his decisions, under an even brighter microscope.
You have the background, huge expectations, then that terrifying cardiac arrest incident during practice at USC.
Which he recovered from, thankfully.
Yeah.
Then drafted by the Lakers, joining his dad. It's a remarkable story on one level.
But it immediately brought accusations of nepotism. People calling him a nepo hire, especially being a second-round pick.
Yeah.
The feeling among critics was, would any other team have drafted him there?
And some of his early NBA minutes didn't exactly quiet those critics. There was that 0-for-4 game against the Bulls, played less than 7 minutes. People pointed to his college stats, his G League numbers.
Which were, let's be honest, pretty modest.
Right. But LeBron naturally defends Bronny fiercely. Talks about his resilience, his work ethic, how he's improving. Says Bronny's used to the spotlight.
And you have others, like Gilbert Arenas, supporting Bronny, pointing to potential. But even that just sparked more debate about the whole situation.
And then you layer on LeBron attending Bronny's games and Bryce's games too, while reportedly out with that groin injury. That really fueled the narrative for some people.
Like that fan comment you mentioned, saying he wasn't healthy physically and mentally, but still courtside for his sons. It plays into this idea that maybe LeBron's orchestrating things, trying to extend his own influence or career through Bronny.
So how does this connect to retirement? Well, playing with Bronny was a stated goal. He achieved it. Does the constant criticism make him want to stay longer to shield Bronny? Or does he feel like, job done, maybe it's time to let Bronny find his own way without the extra pressure of dad on the team?
It could cut both ways. If Bronny struggles, maybe LeBron feels less motivation to stick around just for that.
It's definitely a complex family dynamic playing out on a huge public stage.
Okay, let's tackle another narrative. Is LeBron just sticking around to pad his stats now, or is he genuinely still chasing greatness, meaning championships?
You definitely hear the stat-chasing argument. Hitting 50,000 points is Exhibit A for those folks. Going after the all-time minutes record, most playoff games.
People point to games like that 40-point eruption against the Nets last year where he hit 9 threes as maybe focusing on individual numbers over, say, grinding out a team win.
And you see those online comments, right? Like, if he has a great game, see, GOAT. If he struggles while he's injured or old, it shows how polarizing he still is.
But the counter is, his efficiency was still really good this past season, field goal percentage right around his career mark, and he hit more threes per game than ever before.
Plus, the playmaking was elite, those 8.5 assists, and he was still blocking over a shot per game. Those aren't just empty stats, they contribute to winning, potentially.
And LeBron himself pushes back on the stat idea. He talks about just being happy to still be playing, how he doesn't take it for granted.
His focus, publicly at least, seems to be on making it work with Luka and AD trying to win.
Still, that joke debate is always simmering. Stephen A comes out and says LeBron's longevity makes him the goatee.
And immediately people bring up Jordan's 6-0 finals record. It never ends.
And LeBron joking on that podcast about playing till he's 50. Maybe it's a joke. Maybe there's a kernel of truth. Like, if titles are out of reach, does collecting more records become the goal?
It's a fair question. Which brings us back to the core dilemma, stay or go. Let's lay out the retire now arguments.
Okay, argument one, physical decline. The injuries piling up, maybe losing a step, struggling against younger teams like Boston or Minnesota, missing 25-plus games in 4 of the last 5 seasons is a big red flag.
Argument 2, team struggles, another early playoff exit, roster questions, the massive burden still on him. Is it worth risking more injuries or maybe even tarnishing his legacy slightly if the Lakers aren't true contenders?
Argument 3, the Bronny spotlight. The nepotism talk is a constant distraction. Maybe retiring lets Bronny develop with less intense scrutiny focused on the father-son dynamic on the same team.
Argument 4, legacy secured. What's left to prove individually? He has the scoring title, rings, MVPs. Maybe prioritize health and walk away clearly still near the top of his game. Solidify that Joe case without risking a decline phase.
And argument 5, just mental fatigue. 22 seasons is an unbelievable grind. He hinted at it, right? Saying if he doesn't feel like showing up for training or studying scouting reports.
It's a wrap. Yeah. That passion has to be there.
Okay, but what about the arguments for playing another season or more?
Well, argument 1 is simply he's still playing at an incredibly elite level. 24, 8, and 8 at age 40. That's unheard of. Hitting 50K points, he can still be a dominant force.
Argument 2, championship hunger. He clearly wants another title. And the Lakers, with him, AD, and Luka, if they make the right moves, they could theoretically contend. Plus, he has that player option and no trade clause. He has control.
Argument 3, mentoring Bronny. Okay, he achieved the goal of playing with him, but staying could allow him to guide Bronny through his early career, maybe help him navigate that criticism.
Argument 4, his off-court impact. His voice is powerful. Staying in the league keeps his platform huge for activism and leadership. Remember the shut up and dribble response. He uses his platform.
And argument 5, defying age, proving people wrong. That seems to fuel him. He loves silencing the wash talk. Every time people count him out, he seems to come back with a vengeance, like that 40-point game against the Nets. Maybe playing at 41 is the next challenge he embraces.
His comments after the playoffs really showed he's weighing it all. I don't know, I'll sit down with my family, have a conversation with myself.
Yeah, emphasizing the mental side again. Is the fire still burning bright enough for the preparation? That seems crucial for him.
So this decision, it obviously impacts more than just LeBron.
Oh, hugely. His longevity itself is pushing boundaries, changing how we think about aging athletes. His activism sets a standard.
The Bronny situation forces conversations about nepotism, fairness, opportunity.
And the Lakers. Their entire immediate future hinges on this. Does he opt into that $52.6 million?
Right.
Does he leverage that to demand roster changes, like getting that rim protector they need?
It's the difference between potentially gearing up for one more title run or facing a rebuild, probably. And maybe, just maybe, that 2026 All-Star game in LA is a little carrot dangling out there too.
Could be a small factor, yeah.
So here we are, LeBron James, undeniably at a crossroads, still brilliant at 40, but facing real physical challenges, team questions, and that unique family dynamic.
And that stat-chasing thing. I tend to think it's probably overblown. His competitiveness seems geared towards winning still.
Feels like it boils down to preserve the legacy, protect his health versus that competitive fire, wanting another ring, and maybe guiding Bronny through these early years.
And like he said, it's personal. It's about his body, yes, but maybe even more about his mind and his will to keep doing what it takes.
Whatever he decides, though, his legacy is secure, isn't it? He completely changed the game, redefined what an athlete could be on and off the court. The whole basketball world is just waiting to see what the king does next.